Hello, degens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes. I am AJ. This is, of course, Noah. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter at Degenerate Takes. Myself at Perfect1, Noah at and Engelbretson. I think I got that right that time. And of course, listen to us anywhere that you have podcasts. Noah, I don't know about you. I had a busy week, and so did the NFL. We had our first week of preseason football. Oh, it's nice to have it back, man. I don't know about you, but it was nice to just look at the board and have a full slate of football to bet on and just watch, man. It was like, it's a good first taste, even though, it was nice for about 5 minutes, and then you wanted to blow your brains out because it was just the worst football you've seen in a long time. But nonetheless, it's football. Noah, early thoughts on preseason weekly one?
I'm just so glad to have football back, man. I mean, even if it's much shittier football, it's still football. It's like the little appetizer before college football and the NFL starts. So I'm just wetting my whistle a little bit, getting the taste buds, ready, starting to salivate a little bit for actual football to be back, and it feels good. It feels good.
It really does. And yeah, with that being said, I'm going to say something that I'm not going to be able to say a lot during the regular season, so I'm going to enjoy it while I can. The Packers lost to the Houston Texans, 7-26. Noah, dude, if I'm a Packers fan, I am not stoked about what any of our backups can do. If any of our starters get injured, and even if some of our starters being rookies and stuff, I'm scared about that. So why are the Packers dead, and why are the Bears about to win the NFC North, bro?
It's preseason, dude. Nothing matters. I shouldn't say nothing matters, but the scores don't matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Winning preseason games doesn't matter for shit. I'm pretty sure more teams have, historically have gone 0-4 and made the playoffs than gone 4-0 in preseason and made the playoffs.
No,
Maybe
fair
it's
enough.
the Super Bowl, but there's some stat out there that's like that.
So fair enough, but I will say, the fact that this Houston Texans organization can win any game whatsoever, hey, good on them down there. That head coach, I mean, that might be one of the few wins that you get this season, but good on you guys for getting one out.
Well, you see, when your whole team is just backups and you don't have any stars, you can afford to get all second string talent. So you don't have any of this third string talent floating around. You just have really good backups at every position.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I mean,
depth.
Hey, so we might see this Texans team. They just might be fresh. They're rotating everyone in and out, and that's how they, win football games. They just got the fresh guy out there.
They're just running a committee.
Yeah. Hey, it worked for the Saints with Drew Brees and Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum. You know what? Let's actually. Do you have anything else on the Packers? Because I just found the game boring and uninteresting. I find Jordan Love to be lacking in the eye test, and watching him play, he just didn't. I know it's preseason, but he's had 2 years in the system now. He should be carving up a secondary defense.
He looked good, I thought.
You thought he looked good?
Yeah, especially that touchdown drive. He was 6 for 6.
The touchdown drive did look good.
And a touchdown.
Yeah, that looked good, but that was the only real promising part that I saw. You know what I mean? Yeah, there was some stuff here and there, some good reads and everything. But that one drive was the only time I really saw him kind of put something together,
I mean, if you look at it on paper, he was 7 of 12 for, I think, 122 yards and a touchdown. He had 110 passer ratings. So, I mean, and he was supposed to play 3 quarters, but he took a hit late in the second quarter, and they were worried about his shoulder. So that's why he came out earlier than he was supposed to.
Wow. So Jordan Love is fragile. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, his MRI came back today, and there's no damage. And they said, there's a decent chance he doesn't even miss any time. He might miss a couple practices just to keep an eye on it and make sure he's not you don't want him. Obviously, you don't want your backup just being injured.
No, that would be the
then
worst case
you
scenario.
know,
Yeah.
then in the event something happens to Rodgers, if there's no love there, then we're going to Kurt.
Hey, he showed something. I don't know. He'll be fine. But you know what?
Not exactly a household name.
Not yet, not yet. But hey, it just takes one start in the NFL. I mean, Tim Tebow had one season, and we're still talking about him. Wow, we'll get to him and how bad he looked later. Uh, but let's stick with the MRI story really quick. Dak Prescott reportedly getting another MRI on his shoulder. Noah, dude, is he out for the season again? I mean, I know we're overreacting. I know it's just a tightness or something. They're saying it's a baseball injury, though, which has to do with how you release points and how you release football. So he's obviously using his arm more than he usually does because he doesn't trust his leg. So that's something we're gonna have to look at. But Cardinals beat the Cowboys 19-16. As a Cardinals fan, I'm stoked. Just because the team looked good. We ran well. I felt that everyone kind of did their job and looking promising even in preseason. Cowboys fans, I would still be like, that's a good offense. You know what I mean? There's Mike McCarthy still a little bit allergic to the run, but besides that, what did you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, I supposedly Dak is, fine. This MRI is allegedly what they're saying is just a precautionary, like make sure everything's still good.
Yeah.
Not a point of concern is what they're saying. Whether that's true or not, we will find out. But yeah, no, I thought the Cardinals looked really good. Streveler had a nice 2 drives to end the game.
Yes, he did. Beautiful.
God, I remember watching him in college because he was on played for the University of Minnesota for 2 years, and he was our backup quarterback who would go in for run only situations. And there was one game where I think he had like 18 rushes for 161 yards.
Ooh.
Was 1 for 7 passing for 7 yards.
Jesus,
had
man.
Had a negative passer rating, and we won that game somehow, some way. But yeah, then he transferred, and I guess now he's in the NFL, and he's the third string for the Cardinals. And 12 for 24 passing, not great. He had a couple of good runs. Yeah. Looks like his legs are still beautiful, but hey, he led him down a game-winning drive. Combination of him and Eno Benjamin.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, and as a Cardinals fan, just the fact that we have that much depth at quarterback makes me confident. And the fact that Streveler is also a mobile quarterback so that the offense doesn't have to completely change, if Kyler Murray does get injured, you know what I mean? It's more of a next man up situation instead of going into more of a pocket passing quarterback. So we'll see. I still think the Cardinals are going to do excellent this season. The Cowboys are going to suck. Dak Prescott, unfortunately, is going to have a rough season after signing that huge contract. No, let's talk about another team really quick that's going to break my heart this season. The Bears played the Dolphins and beat them 20-13. I've seen it too many times. I've just seen it too many times to get caught up in it again. We have a new shiny toy, a new shiny quarterback, Justin Fields. Ooh, look at him. He's doing some flashy stuff. He did something athletic. He did something that we haven't seen in a long time. Granted, Mitch Trubisky did every once in a while, but he ran in for a touchdown, bro. That is so rare. Just getting a touchdown as a Bears fan is unbelievable. You know what I mean? And so, I think that's where the overhype is coming. I am still reserving for when we're in, real action, real time and everything, because he's obviously got to develop and everything. He didn't look terrible, I will say, from watching him. This was the first time I've really had an opportunity to watch him play football. And he looks like a solid player, but it's the Bears. The Bears are where quarterbacks go to die. So, I don't know, man. I think they're going to be good the first couple games again, shockingly good, get us a shitty draft position, and then we're in the same position as usual. What do you think of that game, Noah?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Dalton couldn't do anything against that first unit for the Dolphins, and by the time Fields came in, and he started slowly. I mean, his first couple drives, there were two different passes. He almost threw really bad interceptions. One, he was trying to lob one up off of his back foot, just it wasn't as much about the like result of the play. It was more about like his decision making. Those first couple drives was, if I were a Bears fan, I'd be nervous about that. But he is a rookie, so you got to cut him some slack there.
Oh yeah.
But then he started heating up, and he looked good again. Albeit against the Dolphins' second or third unit, but. So I think there's definitely some promise there, but I wouldn't get too excited yet. I mean, Dalton's still going to be the week 1 starter, and unless they're just really terrible and Dalton just is shitting the bed the first couple weeks, I don't think we'll see Fields in the first half of the season.
Yeah, you never know, though. Matt Nagy's desperate. Ryan Pace is desperate. They want to keep their jobs,
True.
I think we might be in a situation where Dalton shits the bed game 1 and game 2. Quarter 4, we see Fields, and, we test him out in a real game time situation if we're down by a couple touchdowns. And then we ruin his career. I mean, it's what the Bears do best, so good on them. Dolphins, I wasn't really impressed by them whatsoever. Their offense, granted, the Bears' defense has always been solid. Like, that's the only thing as a Bears fan that I'm ever excited for is our defense. But what did you think of the Dolphins and how they played? Do you think this is kind of telling of what we're going to see Tua and the Dolphins do in the regular season?
I mean, again, I'm not going to read into anything like super deep. It is preseason.
Yes.
You can kind of start to get a feel for things, but you never know. Like I've said before, though, I do expect the Dolphins to regress a little bit from their success last year. I mean, they look fine, I guess. Neither team really, other than a couple drives Fields had that looked really good. I mean, the majority of this game, neither team was really ball at all. It just felt like a lot of punts, a lot of turnovers.
Yeah.
It was just kind of sloppy, if I'm being honest. So
yeah, it was, and preseason football, I think that's going to be expected, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll see if this is anything telling. I'm hoping it's not, because I really do hope the Dolphins do well. I like Tua. I like the way he plays football. I hope he kind of breaks that Alabama mold, because I thought he was, like, watching him play in Alabama, and even last year, he looked a little bit better. Like, he looked better than most quarterbacks that come out of Alabama. So good luck, bro. I hope he does well. He definitely has some. Yeah, that's a tough division, though. I don't know. Moving on to a team that is in a rebuilding process, and one team that's looking to keep the crown going. You got the Bengals and the Buccaneers. Bengals go over 19-14. I mean, as you say, it's preseason, nothing really to look into. Brady's still the GOAT, though. I know he went, 1 for 3 or something like that for 9 yards, 1 for 2 for 9 yards.
Yeah, played one drive, was 1 for 2 for 9 yards. He got sacked on one of the plays, and then they punted. That was the only drive their first unit played.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really much you can ask there. I honestly didn't get to watch this game. I just got to watch some highlights. Burrow, he seems to be still a little bit hesitant on his leg. Right? He played the first couple drives, right?
No, he didn't play at all.
He didn't play at all? My bad. Must have been looking at practice tape. But
no, I don't think Burrow's expected to play this preseason at all. I think it'll just kind of be throw him back into the fire week 1.
That's a mistake, dude. I get why they're doing it, you know what I mean? But at the same time, not really whatsoever, because I feel like at the same time, you got to get back in the rhythm of something, you know what I mean? Like, when you're off work for a week, you have to take some time. You're hoping that first day back isn't going to be a firestorm of hell because you're just hoping to kind of ease back out of vacation into that. Burrow hasn't played a down of football in a long time. And so I think maybe getting him a couple reps against a second team where he's not going to get absolutely murdered would be good for his psyche, get some completed passes before you're going in week one. But I'm also not signing a check for a couple $1 million for this guy to play football for me, So that's my opinion on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I don't know. This was not a game that I watched any of. This was the largest spread out of any of the preseason games week one.
Was it really?
I think Tampa Bay was 6 or 6.5 point favorite.
Cool.
Which, if you see any spread above 3.5 on any of these preseason games, just take the underdog. Like,
you have to.
Like, that's all I can say. I mean, these games are so unpredictable and like random.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously they're not like completely random, but I mean it's preseason, so I saw that and I immediately jumped on Bengals plus 6.5 because I'm like,
might as well.
I feel like most of these games are almost close to 50-50 with who's going to win.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's talk about the fact that the Broncos blew out the Vikings 33-6. What? I thought the Broncos were supposed to suck. I mean, I know it's preseason, but a team, that's supposed to be the worst in the NFL is supposed to be the worst in the NFL. What happened here, dude? I didn't get to watch this game. Did you get to watch this game at all, or were you kind of like me and it's like it's the Vikings and the Broncos? That's the last thing I want to do.
No, I watched a majority of this one.
Okay. So give me the report, Noah. How bad did the Vikings look? Because apparently, dude, they ain't gonna win a game this season.
Yeah. Well, I was really enjoying this game personally because I really do not like the Vikings.
Yeah.
And man, watching the first half, after a couple like false starts and holding calls on their offensive line, one of them they had a holding call in the end zone, which resulted in a safety because of that. And it was so funny. So I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking to myself, like mid second quarter, I'm like, Mike Zimmer's gonna be so pissed.
Dude, they're running.
And then they interviewed him after halftime before the start of the second half, and he was not happy whatsoever. My favorite part was the reporter tried to like sneak some little bit, and they're like, "Oh well, Kellen Mond, his play's looking promising," and then Zimmer's just like, "Yeah, well, he could be doing better. Like he's not playing perfect. Like, oh my God, he was pissed off, and I loved it."
Yeah, that doesn't sound good. I mean, and the score says it all. Like just across the board, it seems like they didn't play well. Looking at their stats, they played like dog shit. Like they played like my freshman football team, dude. And let me tell you, we lost every game except the last two because I didn't play. It's one of those things. So I don't know what they have to do to figure that out. But if I'm a Vikings fan, I get it's preseason and everything, but I'm a little scared that we lost to the Broncos by that much. And
yeah, well, that comes along with being a Minnesota sports fan in general. You just get used to disappointment, and then you just don't have expectations because you just look at all the Minnesota sports teams, and all they ever do is just let you down.
Speaking of getting let down, real quick, the Diamondbacks pitcher that threw the no-hitter the other day in his MLB debut. First of all, congratulations to him. That's one hell of a way to make an MLB debut. But mark my words, he will be on the trading block this offseason. Because there's no way in hell the D-backs are keeping a prospect that good. And let me tell you, I love that our farm system is doing what we got to do. And he performed. He threw a no-no. That's awesome. But, yeah, he's going to get traded. Another team, let's talk about a team that desperately needs to trade for something, but they can't because they screwed themselves on the cap for the next couple of years. The Saints. I watched this game. Jameis Winston, I was less than impressed by. Uh, it honestly was
But
just kind of hard to watch.
he looked way.
He looked better.
I can't even say that he looked good. I can't even like stretch it to that. But he looked way less bad than the other two quarterbacks in Taysom Hill and Ian Book.
Yeah, but
And
one of them's
Taysom
a tight
Hill
end and the other
looked,
one's a third string. Like, he should look a lot better than that, you know?
yeah. I mean, I think what you pull out of this is Jameis still has to be the starter. He looked bad. But Hill and Book looked worse. So
Yeah, honestly.
Even with that poor performance, the starting job's still his. He didn't lose anything.
No, but that's the situation they're in right now. They pay Jason Tatum all this money, and then they have
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill, son of a...
Jason Tatum's on the Celtics.
Yes, he is on the Celtics. I'm sorry, I have him on I have him on NBA Top Shot. I just pulled him on from a pack, so that's what I'm thinking about. But
name's
anyway,
fresh on your mind.
But yeah, they're paying him way too much money. They got Jameis Winston. Too many Jamesons and that stuff going around, I'm telling you. If Jameis Winston in there, he's going to be kind of like the Mustang Mach-E, you know what I mean? It's going to be all promise, and in the end, it's going to look like shit, you know what I mean? This Saints team is screwed, like, especially with Michael Thomas out all this time. Their team is Alvin Kamara at this point, and so that's kind of a bummer. Yeah, the Saints are going to suck.
I don't know. I honestly think they benefit from potentially looking at trade offers for Michael Thomas.
Oh, absolutely. I think they need to be shopping him yesterday.
Because he's still a top 5-ish receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
When he comes back and is healthy. But like you pointed out, they have salary cap issues, coming into this year that they had to do a bunch of workarounds for, and they'll have them in the future too. So that helps that situation if you trade him away for some, productive, lower cost players.
Yeah.
And draft picks, honestly. I mean, hell, you trade him for probably a first round and a player or two.
Yeah, first round, or even get a first round and 2 seconds and a third, or you can get a lot for him. His trade capital is high. But here's what I don't get. So you know what I mean? You look at the Buccaneers and what they're doing down there. They brought everyone back. They somehow did cap gymnastics, and they figured out how to re-sign everyone with good contracts and just kick everything down the road. They're doing the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. It seems like a lot of teams, except the Saints, figured this out. So do they just have a shitty cap department? Do they need something different? Who really knows? But until they get that situation figured out, I do think they'll have to trade away these, high cost players. Their Alvin Kamara's, their Michael Thomas's, and really go into a full rebuild and really figure out, are we going to build around Jameis Winston, or are we going to rebuild around Taysom Hill?
Well, I mean, it happens. They built a Super Bowl ready roster, which they weren't able to even make a Super Bowl with.
Mm-hmm.
You do that, you can only sustain that for a couple seasons, and then you're back to cutting people. You gotta get more young players and pieces in there that aren't at as much of a price point. I mean, you saw this with the Rams after they made their last Super Bowl. They went balls deep in that and ended up making a Super Bowl, but then they were hurt and cap wise and had to shift some pieces around. And now they're locked and reloaded and trying to do it again. Sean McVay's trying to take that same recipe and apply it to this year. And if it works the same as last year, who knows? We might see the Rams in another Super Bowl. But the Packers are going to be on that boat pretty soon too. I mean, especially at this point, we've doubled down, so we're it's literally like win this year or next year, or
Don't.
Or
pray that
yeah, and
Jordan
then
Love gets better.
yeah, well, and then you're faced with the decision, like, do you deconstruct and go into a rebuild, or do you try to like salvage the pieces and pick yourself back up? And and I think the Saints are at this point, they're trying to go the route of salvaging the pieces and maintain that high level of success. And that's just, it's so heavily reliant at this point on whether or not Jameis can come in and perform.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see. That'll be interesting week 1 to see how he can perform. I really have nothing else on them. I think they're going to suck this year. But I want to talk about a team. I might have to go back and change a couple picks because 49ers Chiefs. The Chiefs won 19-16, but 49ers, Trey Lance, bro, they got a guy. That guy, he looked good, bro. He looked good. He looked like a beast.
I will say it for the third time. It is preseason.
I know, but still, dude. But I get it. But at the same time, you can still take a look. They are still being put in a situation. They're still being put in with grown-ass men who have been playing in the NFL for probably a couple seasons now, especially some of these backups and everything. Some vets that are trying to make teams, make those contracts. Some other guys that are trying to, make the team. They're playing hard. And so still being able to walk into that, like this brand new system and everything and do what he did. I think he did well, and I think he showed, just like Zach Wilson showed, that there's a lot of growth and there's a lot of good stuff to come in the future for their careers.
Yeah. Speaking of that, the rookie quarterbacks, all five of the first round picks. Funny enough, Lawrence looked the worst out of all 5 of them.
Mm-hmm. But that, when you're on the worst team,
Wilson only played like a quarter, but I think he was like 6 of 8 or something like that for decent yards. He was completing routine passes. Like I said, Fields got off to a shaky start, but then he had a couple real nice drives.
Mm-hmm.
Trey Lance looked good. Mac Jones looked decent.
Yeah, he didn't look bad.
Mac Jones I'd probably rank him 4th. I think Trevor Lawrence had the worst outing out of any of them. Which
he looked rough.
I'm telling you, man, I think he's gonna have a rougher rookie campaign than people think. Just because he's got a lack of weapons around him.
Yeah.
That defense isn't very good, so you're gonna be playing from behind, trying to force things a lot. The defense is just gonna play the pass because if they're playing from behind and they're in obvious passing situations for half or more of the games, like he's gonna get played so much harder against the pass. Not gonna be able to set up that run. Which, by the way, fantasy wise, got to put in my fantasy inputs. Hopefully you guys haven't drafted yet. My league, we always wait until literally a week before the seasons because you never know what kind of injuries and all are going to happen. But
exactly.
I would stay away from both of the Jacksonville running backs because I think.
Oh yeah. Wow.
I think Robinson, coming off of his great rookie year, I think him and ETN are going to split pretty evenly in production. So I don't really see either of them as a great fantasy option.
No. Yeah. No. You stay as far away from them as possible. If we're going off preseason, I really don't see anyone. Like, I would stay away from Jacksonville Jaguar players in general from your fantasy draft. If you have to draft someone, Trevor Lawrence, I guess, is a backup for those weeks that he's playing those really bad teams, but I don't know. This team's going to be rough this year.
Lawrence could have good fantasy value in general, just because I think they're going to be playing from behind so much that they're going to be throwing the ball a shit ton. So
that's fair.
He could actually have some value fantasy wise, but
He could.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, though, overall, I mean, all those first-round rookie quarterbacks look decent. Again, it is preseason. Not going to read into that too
No.
much. No, I saw something today that, people talking about Jordan Love's first preseason appearance, and it was like, you look at Aaron Rodgers' first, 2 or 3, he was, lower than 50% completion percentage, more interceptions and touchdowns. I'm like, so preseason doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter in the slightest.
It's preseason.
But I'm loving overreacting to it because we have nothing else to talk about in the sports world right now.
Yes.
What other games? Dude, your Rams suck. You're all high and mighty on these Rams. Good to know that when they have to go next man up, they're screwed. For those of you who didn't see the scores or anything, the Chargers beat the Rams 13-6. So, just saying, bro.
Super exciting game.
Super I can only
exciting.
imagine.
Yeah, that was
the highlights I saw.
Electric.
Just electric. Like, that's football.
You had neither team's starting offensive unit played.
Whew.
Both the Chargers and the Rams electing to keep their starters out of at least this first preseason game. So we were just right from kickoff straight into the backups and then the third strings. So
okay.
So I don't think you can legitimately take away anything from this game because
no.
neither team really played, other than the fact that SoFi Stadium looks like a really cool stadium. That's on my list of places to visit, but that's my only. I mean, obviously we saw it last season, but we got to see it with fans in it this season. That's my only takeaway is I want to go to a game at SoFi Stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. SoFi Stadium looks awesome. I'm really excited. That'd be a cool stadium to go to a game to. But to your point, from kickoff, we saw nothing but second strings and stuff, which I think is great because it gives a lot of these younger guys a chance to get a job on the team and everything, and which is great. But I don't know if you remember, but the last CBA negotiation, this was a whole big deal, because they added this fourth preseason game, right? Or have we always had 4? Remind me.
There's always been 4. There's 3 this year because they went to the 17 game schedule, so there's one less preseason game.
Right. They wanted to take preseason games. The players wanted to take preseason games out altogether. For the very same reason. We saw a player get injured this weekend. I forgot exactly who it was, but I remember seeing someone get injured. But, it's reasons like that players didn't really want preseason games. And yeah, I got to agree because no one really wants to watch a bunch of second stringers play. You get shit games. This is the National Football League, not the XFL, not the NCAA. I'm expecting a certain level of football, a certain level of performance, kind of like the G League. You know what I mean? That's why they have the G League. So that the performance is going to be a little bit less, but you still are expecting a certain level. Same thing in the MLB with their farm system and everything. And I think this is kind of where the NFL hurts with not having a feeder system to say. That's why I thought the XFL was going to be awesome. It gives some of these players and that opportunity to go there, make a name for themselves, and actually make money with the risk of still getting hurt and stuff, but still getting paid. I'm over preseason already. I know we have 3 more weeks of it, and I'm excited about it. I'm going to watch a bunch of games and everything, but 2 more weeks. Sorry, excuse me. And then we have college right after that, right?
Well, two more weeks of preseason. So we got 3 weeks until the NFL starts. We got 2 weeks. I believe the first game's August 28th or something.
Yeah, something like that.
We're
close.
I believe. Let me check in on that. I mean,
but regardless,
it's week 0 is what they call it because there's 6 or 8 games that are a week earlier than the normal season starting. Most of them really seem worthwhile, but I'll probably still watch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Saturday the 28th. So
Hey, we're back, baby.
13 days from now.
Regardless, my point being,
Yeah.
preseason, let's get rid of it. Makes no sense. If we're going to do a game, let's do one game. Just so we can get the starters in for a half or a quarter, then bring in the second stringers. But we're not wasting anyone's time at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I did like that they had a rule change this year. They removed overtime from preseason games.
Yeah, that was great.
So I think it's good because, like I said, nobody gives a shit about the outcome unless you're gambling on it.
Yeah.
So, like, if you get through the 4 quarters and it's a tie, then, it's a tie. It's over. Honestly, I think they could even, like, reduce the quarter length to 10 minutes on these preseason games.
Shit, make it 6. Make it a Madden game, But
no, well, because the problem with that is then you have a 6-minute drive, and then you're doing one drive that's the entire quarter, which I know I've intentionally done that against you multiple times in Madden before, just to bleed as much clock, have the quarter-long drive.
The worst part would be you would do it in the second half after I come off of a good opening drive in the second half and get some momentum, and then you just waste the clock for a quarter and a half. Anyway,
yeah.
Let's talk about rules real quick.
5-6 minute drive.
Yeah. Let's talk about rules real quick because I'm already over the refs. I really want all of them to just get out of the game. I swear to God, if I see one more taunting call, like, bro, this is getting ridiculous. Like these taunting calls and everything for the unsportsmanlike conduct, like, it's a game. It's a game. You know what I mean?
Which game were you watching that had taunting calls in it?
Dude, it was like every other game. The last one, I was watching the Colts game today, I believe, and I forgot who it was, but they made a big run and just like got amped up about it or whatever. And it was a little bit in the guy's face, but like it wasn't intentionally in his face. He was a second string, third string guy making a big play. He was hyped. You know what I mean? Like, this is a big moment for him in life. And he got flagged 15 yards and they have to punt. You know what I mean? Like, that's so stupid. You know what I mean? This is a game. And so, yeah, let these guys, they already let them do their touchdown celebrations. What's the difference if some guy makes a 50-yard pick? You know what I mean?
It's the return of the no fun league.
Dude, it really is. It's a bummer. It's such a bummer, dude. Like, I thought we were over this. I thought we were past this. I thought we were past the no fun league. I thought we were ready to have some fun again, but, they have a camera in the end zone for the players to celebrate, but we can't get up and do a little dance after getting a 50-yard pick or making a big run. Like, I don't know. These refs need to keep the flags in their pocket a little bit more. I understand they're trying to enforce it a little bit more for whatever reason, but there's no reason to, because this is a game.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the ref's fault. It's like the NFL like made a point and came out and said that they were enforcing a lot more this year. But that it's not like it's everything. It's like taunting is the one thing that they're like specifically, which, like, I get it kind of, I guess, but then it's like, where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
Because if someone's like specifically, like, if they're not celebrating what they did, but they're like specifically in somebody else's face, like Tyreek Hill putting up the like peace sign at people when he's running past them into the end zone.
Throw the flag. Different.
Like,
no, actually,
that's not him celebrating.
Don't throw a flag.
That's not.
Don't. No, that's him being the best in the world at what he does. Let him celebrate. No one. Usain Bolt didn't get a 3-second penalty for putting his arms out at the finish line. You know what I mean?
Speaking of, dude, I think Tyreek Hill's afraid to race Usain Bolt after making the comments about, he's retired, so must mean he's slow or something now. And then Usain Bolt's like, all right, well, fuck it. Your Super Bowl ring for one of my gold medals. Let's have a 70-meter race.
Ooh.
I think Usain Bolt knows.
Oh,
But also the problem with that too, though, is Tyreek Hill only has one Super Bowl ring.
yeah.
Usain Bolt's got like 10 gold medals. So that's way more on the line for Tyreek. If I were
Way
Tyreek,
more.
I'd say I want like 3 or 4 of your gold
Yeah.
medals on the line, and then you're on. I mean, Tyreek will probably get another Super Bowl ring or
Oh,
two at some point in his career, but as of now, he only has one. So I mean, that Usain Bolt doesn't care necessarily. Well, unless Tyreek Hill got to pick which specific gold medal he wanted,
true. Like, this is the one
then
that you
maybe.
broke
But
this world record. I want this one. Yeah.
even still, it's like I think that Super Bowl ring is way it's way more valuable
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
than an Olympic gold medal.
Yeah, but just in case this race actually does happen, I want myself on the record right now to say I will take Usain Bolt money line all day long. No ifs, ands, or buts. I don't care how old he is. He will smoke anyone. Anyone at all.
Yeah, I mean, as fast as Tyreek Hill is, I mean, if he puts it off for another 4 or 5 years, maybe. That would be real interesting, man, because I have to imagine Usain Bolt would still win that.
It's
I mean,
also,
he's confident that he will, so.
yeah, it's also different speed, though. You know what I mean? Like, Usain Bolt, he has to be, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, he has to be explosive for shorter amount of time and a shorter amount of distance. Tyreek Hill has to be explosive multiple times a night, short distances, long distances, depending on the route. You know what I mean? And so it's just different speed, different things they're built for. So that's why I think Tyreek Hill automatically is at a detriment.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, Usain Bolt winning a lot of those gold medals in the 100 and 200 meter. But I mean, 100 meters is about the length of a football field.
True.
It's
70 meters.
Little,
so 70 meters would be about a 60 or a 40, right?
No, 70 meters is about 76 point something yards.
Okay.
So it's about 3/4 of a football field.
Yeah, I'd still take Usain Bolt.
But the thing is, I mean, Tyreek Hill, he's probably the fastest or, whatever guy in the NFL right now. But he's like not even in the top 5 of top fastest NFL players in NFL history.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. But he's fast.
I mean, and I just think about the fact that like DK Metcalf he finished like what 9th or 10th in his like heat or something, or 8th or something in his heat, and he didn't even in U.S. qualification. And Metcalf is pretty fast. I mean, Hill's faster than Metcalf, but yeah, I have to imagine that Usain Bolt still got enough speed to beat Hill in a sprint.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Usain Bolt, yeah. He's the greatest of all time. Just like Tom Brady at 70 years old could still win a Super Bowl if he wanted to. Just one of those things you don't lose, I think, But no, you have anything else on preseason or anything like that? Anything else that stood out to you, or any players that you want to keep your eye on going into next week?
I just want to say, watching the Colts and Panthers game today, I think the best quarterback on the Panthers roster is named P.J. Washington, former quarterback of the Houston Roughnecks of the XFL, one of the few XFL players to get an NFL contract. I believe he was backup on the Colts last year, potentially. Or not 2 years ago, he was the backup on the Colts. And then now he's on Carolina. You know how much I hate Darnold.
Yeah.
I think PJ Washington looked great today in his like 2 quarters that he played. Man, And we saw him a little bit last year too when
Little
Teddy
bit.
Bridgewater was injured. So he was on Carolina last year, and he looked actually decent. I mean, I don't think he's like a guy you necessarily are like jumping for joy to have as your starting quarterback in the NFL. But not everyone has the luxury of having, really nice quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I think out of the quarterbacks that they have on that team in Carolina, I honestly think he is the best option.
Interesting. I mean, watching that game today, yeah, he did perform very well, and I did get to watch a couple games of him in the XFL, which I can't wait for that to come back. I miss the XFL just because it was more football. You gotta love it. But yeah, he's a good quarterback. We'll see. The Sam Darnold situation is very interesting. I was listening to Colin Cowherd this week, and he was talking about him. You know what I mean? A first-round draft pick, they will get chance after chance after chance because you're investing so much time, so much capital in them. Like, you're hoping that they're going to be your guy, especially at the quarterback position. And that's why Sam Darnold has gotten all these opportunities. And this might be his last
Carson
straw.
Wentz too.
Huh?
I mean, Carson Wentz too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carson Wentz been in the league, and you look at Carson Wentz, and he's been in the league like 6 years now. One of the 2 seasons he's been healthy through the whole season was last year, and they were fucking atrocious. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's like he just keeps getting chance after chance after chance. I think it's a little different with Wentz because I think it's because he's just been injured, and everyone's like, well, he's still could have this potential. We just don't know because he can't stay healthy. But at some point with Wentz, you got to give up and just be like, well, he can't stay healthy, so it doesn't matter. Darnold, this will be his last chance because he had 4 seasons with the Jets, all of them terrible, and it's just.
Was it that many seasons?
Yeah. And the problem with him is it's constantly the narrative. Everyone's like, oh well, he has no help. He has terrible coaching. Terrible
which he
GM,
did,
like,
which
blah,
he
blah,
did,
blah.
which he did.
But it's just excuses. You don't like.
Yeah, but the same excuses were used for Matt Stafford. Everyone still thinks Matt Stafford is an excellent quarterback, but he didn't have good coaching. He didn't have help. He didn't have. So nothing but excuses. You know what I mean? Sam Darnold has shown that he can play football, but he didn't have anything.
Stafford has won games and made it to the playoffs. He's made it to the Pro Bowl. Darnold is not. But here's the difference. Stafford has been on shitty teams putting up good numbers. Why are Darnold's numbers shit? That's what I don't get, because people are blaming all the things around him for his numbers being shit. I was going to say, you can be in a shitty situation and still look good personally, which is what Stafford has done. He's put up good personal numbers. The wins just haven't been there because he hasn't had defenses. He hasn't had a lot of other numbers. But unlike winning 2 to 4 games a season, what Darnold's done, Stafford would, bust off 6 or 7 win seasons. And, like, there's a difference. Like, Darnold is nowhere near the caliber of quarterback that Stafford is. And I think a lot of the problems that the Jets had especially on the offensive side of the ball, I think Darnold's not fully, but partially to blame for some of those. And I think it should have been the opposite narrative. Instead of him getting the benefit of the doubt for not having talent around him, like, it should have been looked at like maybe the failures of the Jets is the quarterback play.
And I think we'll definitely see whose fault it really was this season. Kind of like how we're kind of seeing that the success in the Patriots was mostly because of Tom Brady making those teams work, taking those pay cuts, and Belichick just kind of sitting in the background and getting rid of anyone who he didn't like,
You and I both know there were much like other bigger reasons last year. This year's going to be a much different looking Patriots team.
Not much. because either way, you still need a quarterback to throw the ball, and I don't think that Cam Newton is the answer. I think Mac Jones might be the answer. I think Mac Jones might work in the Belichick system, but I think he's a couple years out.
We will see.
We will. Belichick's still one of the best coaches of all time, but he definitely would not have had the success if it wasn't for Brady. Simple as that.
They'll be back in the playoffs this year. Patriots will.
We will see. We will see. Noah, do you have anything else for the degens before we sign off tonight?
Just stay classy, folks.
Simple as that.
So
Degens, stay classic.
Watch some more preseason. Hey, every day is a day closer to football season. That's my wise words of the day.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We will be back on Tuesday with a look at the AFC West. Maybe a dive into some college football teams we're excited for, and of course, the preseason week coming up. Again, please like, share, and subscribe. Listen to us on any of the platforms that you listen to on social media. That you listen to podcast on. And have a great day. Oh, no.